This is Neverness to Everness, an open-world gacha game with some pretty interesting mechanics on top. As this is a racing game channel, you might be surprised to learn that this game features owning real estate, running your own businesses, and of course, car ownership and customization. Sound familiar? Well, I hope it does, because when I first saw NTE, I was pretty blown away at the similarities, and I'm definitely not the only one, with most dubbing this the anime GTA. Many gacha game creators have already covered NTE, so while your boy does play a few gacha games from time to time, we're going to be purely focusing on the car and lifestyle elements. In the original announcement trailer, they actually showed off gameplay from the get-go. We get to see gameplay of the Porsche 911 being driven around Heathrow, which to my understanding is the main city of the map, which by the way looks absolutely stunning. The vibrant visuals and advertisements make it feel a lot more like an Asian city than Test Drive Unlimited ever does. I reckon it's fair to call this the 930 Carrera 3.2 just purely based on its stock form. If it's a 964, my bad. They're pretty much identical if you're not a massive nerd. In the workshop though, we can see the game calls it the Griffin, and here there's a bunch of options for both visual and performance. Obviously we're expecting much simpler than actual racing games, but honestly, that's not necessarily a bad thing. In a developer interview, you can see that the devs are at least in touch with cars and the car community, even if several models that they show here aren't actually in the game. But as an example, you can swap on the iconic spoiler from the 911 Turbo, a swan neck GT style wing, or an RWB kit without the wide body. Other ownable vehicles we see in the trailer are essentially the 4th generation Suzuki Jimny, dubbed the Celia G3. Obviously that might not actually be its final name, given that this is an early build, and most of the in-game car names are in English as well, though the Jimny's direct translation would be the Series G3, so there's a possibility that might be the case. The next one is a bit weird. When I originally saw this, I thought it was a 2nd generation Volkswagen Jetta, with circular headlights similar to the Mark I Golf. I did consider a couple of other things that this could be, but given the Jetta's presence in China being an entire brand now, I honestly wouldn't be surprised if that's what it's supposed to be. And as I'm sure my viewers would enjoy me fail to pronounce things in Mandarin, the Jetta's placeholder is Xinquan C2000, and that supposedly just means new model C2000, though it might just be called the C2000. The announcement trailer actually showcases the real estate element of NTE. You'll walk into a real estate agency, which is hilariously also named the Leon Estate Group, and buy a house from there. Given this mechanic is even in the game in the first place, I'm sure there'll be standalone houses. But for this trailer, we've been shown a penthouse apartment with a pool, and I know I probably sound a little bit insane at this point, but I can't help but get a bit of nostalgia for the opening house of Test Drive Unlimited 2 in this scene. It probably doesn't help though that the apartment complex that they purchased is also named Eden, you know, the original developers of the Test Drive Unlimited franchise. Now while they don't show it off in this gameplay footage, I believe there is actually a customization mechanic where you can buy and place furniture in your house, and you also have an incentive to do so as you'll earn rewards for redecorating your house. I'm not entirely sure how this will work, but it'll be pretty cool if you had to go to an anime IKEA warehouse showing off everything. Then maybe the 2nd generation Honda Acti K truck / box van in the traffic could deliver it to you, but as of right now, it doesn't quite seem like there are any races intended in the base game. But if you're wondering what the cars even do in the first place, to an extent it's just a cool thing on the side, but it's also the game's intended way for you to travel long distances. From what I see, there are almost no fast travel points in the game, so similar to GTA 5, vehicles and public transport make traversing the map much easier. And yes, I did say public transport. At the very least, you can take the bus to certain places, which is honestly super adorable. For the most part, that's it in terms of lifestyle features. However, we're not done, since there's been several other cars in official material. Firstly, this 6-wheeled monstrosity, which at first I thought had no real counterpart, but it shares a fair amount of similarities to the dual-axle Dodge Ram van of the 90s. This was a genuine factory option that you could spec, so I think it's a pretty safe comparison in my eyes. The recent closed beta trailer also unveiled quite a few cars. First, opening with what I'm going to call a Ferrari LaFerrari. Because of the black part of the bonnet, I have seen a couple of people call this an FXXK Evo, but in other shots you can see it's a fairly tame road car without crazy aero. It does seem to be a mix of several other cars though, with modern Lamborghini headlights, like on the Sian, and almost the Peugeot logo on the bonnet. Moving to the back, you can see that it's a bit like an SF90, with a dash of Enzo mixed in. Also, while we're at it, there's casually a Lexus LFA exhaust, because why not at this point? And since cars don't seem to have manufacturer names, I think calling this the Regalia is a pretty safe bet. Just before this though, there is also a scooter, which I can't identify because I don't know bikes very well, but if I had to guess, I'd expect this might be an 80s Vespa scooter. There's also another bike featured a bit later, but it's a bit too hard to tell what it is from the angles we're given. However, what I want to talk about are the billboards advertising cars, another thing Solacran has seemingly forgot to include from Test Drive Unlimited 2. Obviously, this is the classic Mini, now dubbed the Nebula. Visually, I think it's probably closest to the Mark 6 Cooper S, and there's even a scene with a chair on top, just like the original Mr. Bean TV show. One I think people missed because it happened so quickly is a squished version of the Honda N-Box, which I absolutely adore. Then there's casually a Nissan GT R50, and finally the Toyota Corolla AE86, heavily inspired by Initial D drifting down a curve. As of right now, there is no confirmed release date for the game, but it's kind of been speculated to release sometime later this year. However, right now, you can pre-register and also sign up to the next closed beta test. Maybe drop a sub if you're interested in the car content Neverness to Everness has to offer, but that's all for this video. So I hope you have a nice rest of the week, and I'll see you next time. Bye!